I come to say to you this afternoon, however difficult the moment, yes, sir, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth-crushed earth will rise again. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. Yes, sir. Because no lie can live forever. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Because you shall reap what you sow. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yes, that scaffold sways the future. Yes. Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. How long? Not long. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Yes, how long? Not long. Not long. Because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Yes, he's trampling out the village where the grapes of wrath are stored. Yes, sir. He's loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. Yes, his truth is marching on. Yes, sir. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
That was 45 years ago today. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. When it goes to the wide shot at the end of that, you can see where Martin Luther King was standing when he made that speech, right? He was on the steps of the state capitol in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. The Selma to Montgomery Civil Rights March of 1965 is remembered for what happened when they first tried it. When activists first tried to march from Selma to Montgomery, they did not make it. A young man named John Lewis, now Congressman John Lewis, was among those beaten nearly to death by Alabama state troopers on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. That was Bloody Sunday. That was the first try to get to Montgomery. Then the marchers tried again 2 days later. They still did not make it. And then they tried yet again, a third time, and on the third try they did it, a 54-mile march to Montgomery. And in Montgomery, Martin Luther King gave the how long, not long speech, the arc of the moral universe speech on the steps of the state capitol, and that was 45 years ago today. Yesterday in the Washington Post, that paper's big picture, what does this all mean article on what's happening in American politics right now included this statement, putting our political fights now against the legacy of civil rights. Former Republican House Speaker Newt Gingrich said Obama and the Democrats will regret their decision to push for comprehensive health reform. Calling the bill, quote, the most radical social experiment in modern times, Gingrich said, quote, they will have destroyed their party much as Lyndon Johnson shattered the Democratic Party for 40 years with the enactment of civil rights legislation in the 1960s. Yeah, Democrats, you don't want to make another big mistake like you did with civil rights. You sure regret supporting civil rights, don't you, the way that worked out? Mr. Gingrich later clarified to the Washington Post that what he says he meant was that LBJ was right to sign major civil rights legislation. LBJ just shouldn't have supported things like busing or otherwise have gotten so far ahead of the country on civil rights. I would not have expected it, but the fight over health reform now is turning out to be clarifying. Health reform is not civil rights. This is not a desegregation order. This is not a voting rights bill. It's not the same thing. But this is government trying to take a major step to remedy something that is wrong in the country. And we haven't done that in a long time. Taxes have been cut and raised. Wars have been ended and started. Standards and rules have been imposed and they have been repealed. But when is the last time we took on, head-on, a long-standing, intractable problem that is hard to fix, that was not going to fix itself? Actually, doing health reform is a demonstration that government is not just for show. Government is for fixing problems. We have a government not just to give people shiny political celebrity high-profile jobs so they can win popularity contests against other people who want shiny political celebrity high-profile jobs. We have a government to work on problems that we have as a people, as a country, problems that aren't working themselves out interpersonally or in the marketplace. Government is for something. We have one for a reason. And so that's why you're hearing people now talk about this passage of health reform in the same breath as civil rights, as Social Security, as Medicare. Nancy Pelosi used the same comically oversized giant gavel this weekend that was used in 1965 when Medicare was established. Not because what's happening now is Medicare. It's not with single payer off the table and not even a public option, it's not. But it is a callback to the time when Medicare was created. Incidentally, Medicare created the same year as the civil rights speech we led this off with. A time when Democrats behaved in a way that made clear that they thought government could do something. And the Ronald Reagans of the world, the conservatives, thought that government really shouldn't. Ronald Reagan, you'll recall, campaigned against Medicare, calling it socialized medicine, saying it would be the beginning of the end of freedom in this country.
Program, I promise you, will pass just as surely as the sun will come up tomorrow. And behind it will come other federal programs that will invade every area of freedom as we have known it in this country.
It's clarifying, right? Some people thought Medicare was a good idea. Some people thought it was the end of America. We are back to that clarity of conflict again. Supporters of health reform think that the reason we elect people to government is so that they can take on the big challenges, like our disastrous lack of a health care system. The Republican budget map they have put forward as an alternative to President Obama's agenda, on the other hand, would repeal Medicare over time. It would repeal Social Security over time, privatizing it. And they're against health reform. Universally, not a single Republican vote for it is expected now. It's clarifying, right? Newt Gingrich, who would like to run for president for the Republican Party in 2012, looks back on the legacy of government doing stuff all the way back to civil rights and suggests there's something to regret in that legacy. All the most principled Republicans and conservatives I've ever known say that they relish the prospect of a big ideas debate in this country. They relish the chance to give Americans a choice between their vision of politics and the liberal vision of politics. Through all of the name-calling and vituperation and proxy war of this health reform fight, we are finally getting down to that clear choice. Do you want a government that does something, or don't you? When you look back at the legacy of government doing stuff, of establishing Medicare and Social Security and government protection of civil rights, do you regret that? Or do you think that's not regrettable, that the government did right when it did those things? Republicans are banking on the American people regretting that legacy. Democrats are banking on the American people thinking we got those big things right and we can get other big things right too. It's a big choice. It has never been clearer in my lifetime. Hell no, you can't. Or, yes, we can.
Hell no, you can't! Yes, we can.
Either we can, and we should, or we can't, and we shouldn't. The debate has never been more clear. So you ready? Set. Talk amongst yourselves.